So this is the Algebra 2 quarter project, and we're going to be learning how to take a simple equation as such and to turn it into a graph that's super simple without ever using a calculator. So that's going to be fun. Anyway, so our equation, we have negative times, well, it'd be a -1 in this case, but it's just a placeholder. Anyways, so we have the -1, which would be this negative, times x plus 3 times x plus 6 times x minus 3. So in order to figure out a graph, we're going to need to figure out, in order to graph this, we need to find out 6 main things. So the first thing we're going to look at is the leading coefficient, which is the pink here. And that's going to be the very first number in this sequence. So we don't have a specific number here, but if there's ever a negative, it's really just a placeholder for -1. So we'd write down -1 for our leading coefficient. And if the leading coefficient is negative, this direction of the arrow on the right-hand side is going to be pointing down. So that's, we'll get to that. We'll come back to that, but as you can see on the graph, you can see on the graph right here that the right-hand side is going down because of that leading coefficient. Next, we'll need to look at our degree, and that's basically the number of x's that you can see in the equation. So right here we have 1, 2, 3 x's, so we have our degree or biggest exponent is going to be 3 in this case. And it's an odd number, and what that means is that if it's an odd number, it's going to be the opposite of the right-hand side. So that gives us our end behavior right here. So because we have a -1, the right-hand side is going to be going down, and because we have the number 3, which is odd, it's going to be the opposite of that, so it's going to go up. And you can see that on the graph over here, right goes down and left goes up. So now we need to find our zeros, and then we'll be pretty much set to graph this equation. So our zeros are a really simple equation that we need to figure out. So we're just going to take these x plus or minus whatever in parentheses and do them by ourselves. So if we have x plus 3, what time 3 plus what equals 0? Because we're trying to get the zeros of the equation to see where it intercepts the x-axis. But so in this case, it'd be -3, -6, and +3. So we write all those down there, and then we come over here and graph them. So as you can see, we have our 3, -3, and -6. And then a multiplicity, it basically means does it bounce off of a certain point? And since we don't have any repeating numbers or anything like that, that's not going to be the case, so it's not applicable in this situation. And then finally, the last thing we need is the number of turning points, and it's just going to be the degree -1. So as you can see, if we come over here, the slope of our right-hand side is going down, and the slope of our left-hand side is going up. So that matches with our leading coefficient and with our degree. And we graph our zeros right here, and then we just take the left-hand side, and then we go 1 turn, 2 turns, and we make sure that they're all matching up. And that's how you graph these kinds of equations.